To be clear, I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy the new 2024 MT-09, but there are a number of things that have changed on this bike. So if you're one of those guys or gals that likes to buy a bike and immediately start customizing and adding parts and things like that, you're going to have to wait a period of time for the secondary manufacturers to get the specs, to get into production of this type of thing. For example, it took TST over a year to make this integrated taillight for this Gen 3 MT-09. And there's another reason that I might be concerned and might want to wait a little while before buying the 2024 MT-09. But let's start by talking about what has changed on this 2024 model so that we know exactly what we're getting ourselves into.
Big changes have been made aesthetically, obviously starting with the front end. They've moved away from the Cyclops front end that I guess a lot of people didn't like or found very polarizing, and they've gone back to this two-lens approach that you see on the Gen 2 MT-09 with a demonstrably more Iron Man aesthetic. The tank has been entirely redesigned as well. The profile is lower, it's a physically lower tank, and it has the addition of the acoustic sound intakes that should enhance the riding noise while you're in the hot seat, if you will. And in redesigning the tank, they also gained an additional 4 degrees per side of lockout range on the bars, which is a great enhancement, especially at lower speeds. In addition to lowering the tank, they've also lowered the grip position, so you're literally sitting a bit more forward on the bike. And they've also raised the pegs 9.5 millimeters and set them back 30 millimeters, which is over an inch. So the entire riding triangle on the 2024 MT-09 is slightly more aggressive. The tail section has been redesigned from the subframe up. That includes the seats. So you've got a front riding seat and then a separate rear passenger seat. Gives it a nice breakup visually. Mechanically, the new MT-09 is largely the same as the Gen 3 MT-09. You get the same 890cc motor that outputs 119 horsepower and 93 newton meters of torque, the same chassis, the same wheels, and that's fantastic because they've done a great job with this chassis and motor. You will get the addition of a radial master cylinder from Brembo. You have an adjustable brake lever and clutch lever on the new model, and the spring rates have been adjusted on the new model so that you'll feel a bit more planted during spirited riding, but around town you may notice that the suspension feels a bit stiffer. TBD on that. They've also upgraded the quick shifter on the new model to a quick shift 3.0, which is essentially a smarter module that allows you to upshift during deceleration and downshift during acceleration. And it also locks out quick shifts when you're at too low of an RPM or too high of an RPM. And that leads us nicely into the tech upgrades for the new MT-09, which is probably where the majority of the increased cost is coming from as well. The new base model is going to be $10,599, and the new SP is going to be $12,299, which is across the board $800 more than the Gen 3. And for starters, you'll get a new 5-inch full-color TFT display with 5 rider themes, 3 pre-programmed riding modes with 2 additional customizable rider modes, which can be adjusted from the Yamaha My Ride app, which pairs to the bike, which is pretty cool. And there's an updated switch gear to navigate the TFT display, which is organized quite nicely with your RPMs, your speed, and your gear all highly visible. You also have the option of turn-by-turn nav through the Garmin Street Cross app, which I don't know if it's pay to play or if it's free. Another big change from a tech standpoint is the addition of a keyless start, which is cool, but I have some questions. Like, what happens if the battery in the fob dies? Is there a mechanical way to start the bike? And how much is a new fob going to be if you lose one? So at first it's cool, but I'm a little apprehensive about the keyless start. And getting back to why you may want to wait to buy the 2024 MT-09, I bought this Gen 3 in June of 2021 when it first came out, and it would seem to me like there were a lot of manufacturing issues or just things that hadn't been worked out yet. The side indicators would fall off, the neutral sensor would come undone, the brakes squeak. There's little things throughout the bike that just didn't seem like they were fully worked out coming off the assembly line. So from an engine standpoint and platform standpoint, the new 2024 is largely the same, so I think that you'll be good there. But there's a lot of cosmetic changes and technological changes on the new MT-09, so I might be a little apprehensive about buying that first production run. So for me, I would probably wait until the end of the summer, once that first batch of production has sold through, and give the secondary manufacturers a moment to kind of get up to speed so that you have some options for aftermarket accessories, if that's your thing. So let me know what you think. Do those sound ridiculous, or does that make sense? And what else are you excited about on the new 2024 MT-09? And if you haven't already, leave a like, subscribe, and check out the review that I did on this Gen 3 MT-09 if you're interested.